Former President Trump says he is celebrating the midterm wins of his endorsed candidates. He's also denying reports that he is upset about some of the results. Yesterday, the former president broke his silence on Ron DeSantis' victory, stirring the pot ahead of a potential 2024 matchup. Here's what he said. Now that the election in Florida is over and everything went quite well, shouldn't it be said that in 2020 I got 1.1 million more votes in Florida than Ron D got this year? 5.7 million to 4.6 million? Just asking. Now, there has been no official announcement from either Trump or DeSantis yet. As far as we know, President Trump is still planning to hold his big announcement next Tuesday. So we also have to talk about President Biden because he mentioned yesterday that he intends to run in 2024 and could make a final decision early next year. Here's the current president.
My intention is that I run again. But I'm a great respecter of fate, and this is ultimately a family decision. I think everybody wants me to run, but we're going to have discussions about it.
Let's welcome in now Hogan Gidley, America First Policy Institute Director of Election Integrity. He's also a former deputy assistant to President Trump. Hogan, always great to talk to you.
Thanks a lot, John. Appreciate the time.
I was joking kind of yesterday, half joking about the fact that we're not even going to have a 2023. We're just going to skip right ahead to 2024. But let's start with the current president and his announcement yesterday about his intention to run, because what we heard from James Clyburn, the South Carolina congressman who basically handed the nomination to Joe Biden, he was pretty emphatic about Joe Biden not running in 2024. We didn't see him on the campaign trail for any of these contested races really in a meaningful way. So is he saying this because he has to? Or do you actually think he believes that he is going to run in 2024?
No, I think he believes it. I think had the elections on Tuesday gone a little bit differently and it actually been a red tsunami of sorts, I think they would have looked for Joe to have an off-ramp. And I think the media would have kind of jumped on board with that. I think many of the Democrats would as well. I think it would have angered Joe Biden, but I think he would have kind of stepped aside and given it to somebody younger. But as it wasn't the big tidal wave we thought it was going to be. And so Joe Biden kind of doubles down on it. And I love the fact he said, people want me to run. I don't know what people they are. Even, a vast majority of the American people don't want him to run. And neither do people in the Democrat Party. A majority of those Democrats polled say they don't want him to run either. They should pick somebody else. So, look, the country's in a horrible place right now because of the policies of Joe Biden. And now, after Tuesday, he's admitted he's going to just double down on the whole thing and make it a whole lot worse. So prepare for a lot more pain before we get any relief.
Yeah, and he's also going to be facing a lot of pressure from the left. There's this group called Roots Action. They just launched an anti-Biden 2024 campaign, and they say, quote, "We cannot risk losing in 2024. We shouldn't gamble on Joe Biden's low approval rating. We need strong leadership to defeat Republicans in 2024. Don't run, Joe. Give Democrats a fighting chance." Ouch. We'll see how much impact that actually has on his ultimate decision. But let's also talk now about 2024, because you have some of the usual suspects. The Trump haters are out with their op-eds today talking about 2024. And I'll start with Paul Ryan. He has an op-ed. He blames what he considers a disappointing night for Republicans on a Trump hangover. I mean, they did get rid of Nancy Pelosi. But anyway, Ryan predicts someone other than Trump will be the 2024 nominee. And then, of course, you have the Wall Street Journal, well-known Trump haters as well. Their editorial board says Trump is the Republican Party's biggest loser. He has now flopped in 2018, 2020, 2021, and 2022. When you read those op-eds, Hogan, there is no mention to the fact, and everyone's jumping ahead to Ron DeSantis, but how closely aligned Ron DeSantis' gubernatorial campaign 4 years ago was with Donald Trump's campaign as well. He ran the commercials with the Trump ads in them, basically, and they can't, and it's basically the same politics too. It's that populist kind of message. Do you think they're putting the cart before the horse in these op-eds?
Well, first of all, I'm glad Speaker Pelosi is no longer going to be Speaker. I'm also glad Paul Ryan isn't Speaker anymore either. We had a tough time in the Trump administration working with a lot of those folks in Congress who refused to fight on behalf of the American people. Hopefully we'll get some more folks in there who are willing to do so. But look, people like Ron DeSantis and others, you can say what you want to about Donald Trump and his record of wins and losses. By the way, it's very impressive. But the fact is the America First policies won yesterday. The American people are looking for those who will implement measures to improve their lives. And right now what we have are a bunch of Democrats talking about January 6th and Green New Deals while inflation goes to the roof, while crime spikes, while the southern border is wide open. We're not energy independent any longer. So do we have drugs pouring into our communities, fentanyl killing our children? Those are all Democrat policies. And so the Republicans who fared very well yesterday pointed that out and stood firm that they would go ahead and listen to the American people and then implement the policies the American people wanted. Ron DeSantis was one of those people. And yes, Ron DeSantis would tell you he is governor because of Donald Trump's endorsement the first time he ran. He's been an outstanding governor ever since. He stood up to the mainstream media like no local or statewide or candidate ever has that I've seen. He's come out on top. People talking about a DeSantis, Trump showdown, we're way you're talking about cart before the horse. We're not even close to that yet. I'll be down in Florida next week, maybe listening to what the president has to say. On Tuesday, we have the America First Policy Institute Gala at Mar-a-Lago at the end of the week as well. So we're going to be right in the thick of this thing. I'm going to be anxious to see what the president has to say. And I've long said whether he's going to be a candidate or a kingmaker, he's going to be involved. We'll just see at what level he decides to get involved.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting the truth. No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They let
me decide.
Newsmax.
Real news
For real people.